evening, YouTube. I'm Dark Sammy 101, and tonight I'd like to take a moment of consideration for RWBY. Beware spoilers for RWBY's Volume 3 and 4. As of writing this script, 10 episodes of RWBY Volume 4 have been released on Rooster Teeth's website, and I've seen them all, trust me. It was at the end of episode 10, however, that I came to a bleak revelation that I probably should have realised sooner. Team RWBY aren't going to get back together by the end of Volume 4, are they? I mean, I've already said that I probably should have twigged earlier than now, especially considering just how far Blake, Weiss and Yang would have to travel to catch up with RWBY and the rest of Team Ranger/Junior. Still, something about the idea of Volume 4 capping off with the 4 girls getting back together seemed like such a positive thought, so I just didn't want to let it go, you know? However, with the way that Volume 4 is right now, I have to face facts and admit to myself that a reunion is going to have to wait. With this revelation, however, comes a sort of freedom, because I've spent like the entire volume building up the idea of the 4 heroes getting back together by the end of it. But because they're so clearly not though, I have no real idea where Rooster Teeth are going to take the series from here, which allows for speculation. Yeah, this moment of consideration exists to ponder and provoke discussion about the potential route that RWBY may end up going down in the future. So when Volume 5 comes out later on this year, we can have a look back at this video and check to see if any of the speculations I make here turn out to be in any way accurate, or if they were just wild fantasy. I'm really going to try and avoid voicing opinions that I feel are just sort of too fantastical or sound like they're going to be the plots for a fanfiction or something like that. So, like, literally picking an idea off the top of my head. Blake ending up leading the White Fang or taking over some faction of the White Fang is the sort of theory I won't be voicing here. Okay, literally after finishing filming for this video, episode 11 aired on the RT site, confirming this exact plot thread was now in the pipeworks. So now I just look stupid. To set the sort of tone for the sort of predictions I'm going to be making, we're going to start off with this kind of simple one. Just say that RWBY has the potential for a story arc that lasts up to about 12 volumes. 8 more volumes after the end of Volume 4, for clarification. The special Steelbook Blu-ray for the first 3 volumes of RWBY has the subtitle Beacon. I don't know if it has the subtitles on other versions of the Blu-ray, I'm just talking about the one I've seen in my possession. The subtitle is obviously referring to Beacon Academy, which makes the first 3 volumes the Beacon trilogy, so it would only be a logical step to conclude that they're going to continue down this fashion, giving each academy their own trilogy. Then, we're hitting at least 12 volumes of RWBY, if that is the case. And if we are continuing down the sort of Haven trilogy line, then I find it really difficult to picture Team RWBY reuniting before the trilogy has, concluded. I don't see them getting back together until the end of Volume 6. Yeah, we'd like to see these 4 friends get back together. Yes, we want to see them reconcile with each other. These friends are good for each other. They need each other. They're not healing as well as they could be right now in Volume 4 because they don't have their team together. However, the payoff of them getting back together again is going to be so much more potent if we're made to wait for it. Of course, some reunions aren't going to go smoothly, but I don't think we can expect to see Team RWBY getting back together anytime soon. When Team RWBY do reunite, however, that is going to leave a hole in Team Ranger, Team Juniper, Jean's team pretty much, because, RWBY belongs to Team RWBY. So there is going to be a gap left by Team RWBY reuniting, but I think that gap may be filled over the course of the Haven trilogy, and I think it's because they're heading to Mistral, there's a very strong possibility that they run into people who know Pyrrha's family, some of Pyrrha's friends from when she was back at Signal. I'm just going to admit straight up that this isn't exactly my most confident prediction, I have to say, but we are learning more and more about each of the main cast of RWBY. For example, episode 10 went to the background of Ren and Nora. Why not extend that to a character we're already missing more and more with each episode? I'm not saying for Jean to find someone to replace Pyrrha as a romantic interest. Jean's a young guy, he's not going to get over his first heartbreak that easy. I'm just saying it makes sense. We'd have a new addition to Team Jean, whatever, and we'd get some insight into Pyrrha's history. Just a little side note of this like potential idea, but it can have a nice little subplot with whoever they find in Signal or Mistral or whatever, having like a nice sort of bonding moment with Jean where they try and figure out what Jean's semblance is, or maybe even just finally wrapping up that storyline and revealing what Jean's semblance is. Yeah, Jean's semblance was a plot point that was brought up a couple of times in previous volumes, but since then it hasn't really danced around and shoved itself into the centre of our attention. It still exists, sure, but we're not really sure where it's going right now. When you think about the fact that Jean doesn't know what his semblance is though, it really puts some of his feats in the previous volumes into some serious perspective though, doesn't it? That last one was a bit of a stretch, I admit, but this one is one I'm a little bit more confident in because they've been building up on this idea throughout Volume 4, and I think everyone's sort of aware of it, a lot of people have sort of voiced their opinions about it, but sometime in the future, not necessarily during the Haven trilogy, but it could be, Oscar, you know, that little farmhand boy we've been seeing throughout Volume 4, I think sometime in the future he'll be like one of the main cast rather than in a sort of side story. And I think that's because Oscar and in turn Ozpin are the wizard from the Four Maidens fairy tale. Yeah, I'm probably not the first to make the assumption that the wizard in the story of the Four Maidens can pass on his powers post-mortem to a new host like the Maidens can, and that Ozpin was another host of such powers. But I'm just going to throw it out there for the sake of it because it's such a fascinating idea. Imagine how pimp Oscar would look if he had Ozpin's cane. Now that storyline is still looking very probable, but we also have to consider that right now there are a few characters who don't look exactly safe. So it's very possible that Crow might be dying by the end of Volume 4. Might be. Now of course, I'm hoping that Crow survives long into the future, but Rooster Teeth have killed characters out of the blue when we thought everyone was safe, when we thought that Rooster Teeth wouldn't dare kill anyone off, and then they murdered Penny and Pyrrha within half an hour of each other. Crow is not in a safe position where he is right now. He's poisoned, miles away from any sort of civilization that could probably help him, and there's a giant Grim coming, and the only two people who can defend him are his barely trained niece and Jean, the guy who lied to get into Beacon. None of this is mentioning the fact that Crow has already admitted he's a bad luck magnet. If he manages to survive Volume 4, I'll be surprised. If Crow does unfortunately shuck off this mortal coil, that leaves a mentor or guardian position available throughout the series, and that might be filled by Raven, Yang's mother. Raven is a character we've seen very little of, but heard about plenty. She's a very distant character, that's obvious, but if she were to fill in the gap that Crow leaves behind, it does open the series to the possibilities of Raven's character development, to see her finally confront the family she abandoned and the daughter she barely knows. It's got to be an idea that Rooster Teeth are at least considering, right? Regardless of whether or not any of these predictions occur, sometime in the future, by the end of Volume 4, or even if they're just complete and utter bullshit and I've just pulled shit out of my ass, the point still stands. I fucking love RWBY, alright? I love this series, I love the characters, I love the world. From an initially rocky standpoint, I am now fully invested in this series. I cannot wait for more of the series, whether it be the official Volume 5 coming out sometime in October, or potentially another series of RWBY Chippy, who knows. Point stands, I fucking love this series, I cannot wait for more content about it. But hey, if you have a prediction or a speculation of what's going to happen in RWBY, leave it down in the comments below, and if you agree, disagree, or just confused by some of the predictions I've made in this video, put that in the comments as well. That's what this series is meant to be about. Provoking consideration and discussion. So, with that in mind guys, I've been Samuel101, and thank you for joining me for this moment of consideration. Sweet dreams.